Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Stirring the Pot. We are here full force for a Super Bowl special. It's finally that time. Football season is one game away from being over. And it's time to talk about Seahawks-Pats, a very historic matchup in the Super Bowl just because of one moment that we will talk about later in the episode. But I've got everybody here in the stew next to me, Dom, John, RJ, and myself. Before we get into some talk all about the Super Bowl, no college football to report on this week, all Super Bowl talk. How you guys doing today?
I mean, this entire week, this can be summarized by, I feel like I'm Micah Parsons at the Pro Bowl. I'm just scooting by life, going down the turf with a scooter that you could find at a local convenience store. That Pro Bowl was one of the funniest things the clips I've seen with everybody, Micah Parsons doing wheelies around the turf and with a video camera and just driving around. And
I saw Shadur Sanders throw a touchdown to a center, and
then he pulled down some guy's sleeve to show a watch. Haha.
I didn't even know it was on last night. I was at the rec and I just it's the Pro Bowl. Didn't Jaquan Brisker make a play?
Apparently.
That's what I thought.
I have no idea.
Garrett Bowles, man, shout out.
Yeah. Nobody cares about the Pro Bowl anymore.
I do.
It's sad.
It's a really cool game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just make it the rosters.
You like watching grown men play flag football?
Oh, yeah.
Put it back in Hawaii.
As a player specifically, I would just get so angry if I was given the Pro Bowl, because then that's just an extra week of work you got to do. It's you got to fly to Hawaii, but it's not anything serious.
You have to fly to Hawaii. How horrible.
But John, could you imagine a guy who's been through a full season, then you have a heartbreaking playoff loss, and now I got to go to the Pro Bowl? Great.
That's actually kind of fair.
I guess, but you get to reunite with all your NFL friends, and usually you get to have some fun. No.
I mean, first time, sure, it might be fun, but could you imagine if it's 7 times consecutively in a row? Some guys are just done with the season.
I mean, you could reunite with your NFL friends on mainland America and not have to go to Hawaii.
Well, they did it in San Francisco this year.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still.
Boring San Fran.
Yeah, ooh.
Hey, it's Super Bowl
San
now.
Fran.
Ooh,
it could be much more boring if it wasn't there.
It was so cool.
I'm sure 49ers fans are absolutely disgusted that the Seattle Seahawks are playing in their stadium for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, probably. But let's get into a bit of that matchup. Obviously, we talked to John before this episode, and John's not very happy about this matchup, so John's going to be a little cranky on this episode.
There's no juice. There's no juice behind this matchup.
There's no juice.
Everybody thinks a certain team is going to steamroll the other team, but we'll talk about that.
I think everyone thinks what specific team is going to steamroll the other team. I cannot see it the other way.
I can see one team steamrolling another team,
guys,
and the other one I see being a close matchup.
For context, John, if everybody has a popular opinion, LaCroix is a good sparkling water brand, John will just be no, I hate it. It's not good. He likes to go against the most normalized takes.
But usually I'm right about that. So I've picked the Heisman twice 2 years in a row. So
I mean, we're talking about sparkling water here, pal. I'm sure it's all the same.
All right, let's get into a bit of review of the matchup. Super Bowl, the NFC champion Seattle Seahawks, the number 1 overall seed in the NFL, will be taking on the 14-3 AFC champion New England Patriots. I'm sure that is boiling John's blood right now, hearing that the Pats are the AFC champions again. But let's start on the NFC side, the more interesting side, in my opinion. But there's been a lot of interest that have happened so far this season for the Seattle Seahawks. It's been a bit of an up and down season. It was a little up and down at the start, but this Seattle Seahawks team is on a 9-game win streak. This team is absolutely rolling over teams right now. They've only lost three games this season. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words for some reason. All 3 of their season losses combined for a negative 9-point differential. They lost by a total of 9 points combined in their 3 losses. And their last loss came in November against the LA Rams. Of course, because if the best offense in the NFL.
That was their last loss?
That was their last loss.
Wait, no, they lost. No, never mind. I'm flipping it backwards.
Their last
that
loss
was forever ago.
21-19.
November 16th by a total of 2 points.
Yeah, Jason Myers had a game-winning field goal line up and just missed it.
Yes.
Ooh, that was the rivalry uniforms for the Rams.
Yes, it was.
This might be their permanent uniforms, apparently, per some sources.
They lost their first matchup against the LA Rams in the season, and then they went 2-0 against them to end the season. Once in Week 16 in an overtime win, 38-37, and once in the NFC Championship game when it all matters. That was a really, really fun game. We talked about that game last week, obviously. That was super, super fun, but there's a couple different things that have been crucial to this Seattle Seahawks reign of this season, and one thing in particular has been their defense. Their defense has allowed the fewest points in the league and the lowest points allowed per game with 17.1. This is one of the better defenses we've seen in a long, long time in the NFL, and that goes down to some of the draft picks that they've had. One guy that Dom loves because of where he went to college, a no rookie safety. See, now Mike McDonald came and was like, okay, I had Kyle Hamilton in my system, and I like those kind of like big box safeties that can do it all. Let's just draft another Kyle Hamilton. And he did that with Nick Emenwari out of South Carolina. Dom, what do you think he has been able to bring to the table for the Seattle defense this year?
Well, specifically on the defense, Connor, these past few years, before they kind of upgraded a little bit, this defense was known as one of the worst stop in the run. They've gotten significantly better at that, I believe, because, well, I remember it was a few years ago where Najee Harris and Jalen Warren gave them a really terrible game, and they put up 200 yards against their run defense. They've really fixed that area. The Rams didn't seem to get that much motion going. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Rams kind of have a weird running back room. But Nick Emenwari is just, you pick a guy from South Carolina, and you're going to have an impact, just like Demetrius Knight with the Cincinnati Bengals. He's kind of that. He's just added more depth to the roster. He's made crucial plays when it's mattered. I mean, isn't he Defensive Player of the Year as well, or a candidate for that?
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I'm sorry, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I always get that confused.
Same thing.
Same kind of premise, but yeah, he's one of the candidates. Though there was very few candidates to look at this year, other than maybe Carson Schlesinger.
It was a pretty weak D-Roy class.
Second year in a row, really. I'd say.
Yeah, it's been like that for probably a few years, honestly. But
now O'Roy's the opposite of that. But
yeah, there's a couple really strong O'Roy candidates. The D-Roy candidates have been kind of lackluster, especially over these last 2 years, like you said, John. But we thought it was going to be a very stacked D-Roy class, but a lot of people just kind of underperformed, had a little bit of a regression in their college stats, Abdul Carter being one of the main ones with some off-the-field issues with the Giants. But the Seattle defense cannot be talked about without talking about their leading tackler and leading interception guy in Ernest Jones. This guy has been flying around the field all year for the Seattle team. 126 total tackles, 5 picks, 7 passes defended. This guy is everywhere on that defense, and I think he is the anchor of what this Seattle defense does.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, John Snyder has been on an insane run for an executive. He has just been every trade, every free agent signing has been almost perfect. And every draft pick, I have their first and second round draft picks up right now. Greg Zabel, Nicky Manwuri, Byron Murphy, Devon Witherspoon, JSN, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet, Charles Cross, Boy Mayfield, and Kenneth Walker. That might be 4 guys who have all-pro talent right there. But in addition to knowing those draft picks, they're knowing those trades, Connor. Ernest Jones is the guy they got from the Titans, I believe, halfway through last year, and kind of a very under-the-radar trade. He's always been a very talented player. He was on the Rams for a while, which means Rams fans are probably even more upset when he just destroyed their team the past couple of weeks. But he's been on a generational run. He's nailing his draft picks, his free agent signings, his small trades. I think another trade that kind of paid off big for them, besides Ernest Jones, is Rashid Shaheed being the best deadline trade I think I can remember in recent years, because he is just everything for that team on the return game and the passing game. It's just everything John Snyder has done is hit. It's almost like, I don't think I've seen a hit rate running executive this high in forever. He is just on an awesome run right now. I think Ernest Jones is kind of a big kind of like summation of that, showing how he can get both talent at with both his high round draft picks and with some more under the radar trades.
Yeah, I tell you what, this Seattle front office has been one of the longest tenured for a reason. I mean, they've been around since the Russell Wilson era first started. They're still around, and talking about trades, I think free agency as well. DeMarcus Lawrence, my goodness, he's been really good for the Seattle team, especially for defensive pressure. Having 6 sacks this regular season, even forcing 3 fumbles. I mean, I'm telling you, this Seattle defense is obviously, like, there's a lot of talk in their offense and how good they've been. But this defense sometimes deserves a lot more credit than they've been given at times just because of how much they've been able to impact the game, especially in a very packed NFC West. And then just going through the NFC, I tell you what, this Seattle Seahawks defense just deserves a lot of credit. You got guys like Devin Witherspoon, especially Nick Emenwari. I tell you what, D-Roy, if Carson Swester hasn't been doing what he's doing, I think he would have won it easily.
Yeah, and I mean, like you were talking about with these additions, some of the later additions too, like Leonard Williams on that defensive line, co-leader in sacks, along with the guy who John mentioned, Byron Murphy II. This team has assembled a very, very solid defense. And I mean, there's been so much going on with this team. There's been a lot of turnover, but two of the guys that have stuck, two of their draft picks, in Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon. These two guys have been very, very good, except that one kind of crucial play.
Tariq's had a rough year.
He has had a bit of a rough year.
But I mean,
this year.
he's had a couple good years for him. So Devin Witherspoon's awesome. That's a great shout, Connor.
Yeah, Devin Witherspoon has been incredible. One of the top 5 picks out of Illinois. Those Big Ten guys.
He had the game-winning play in
Yes,
the
he
national
did.
championship game, knocking the ball to Sam Darnold's hands. It's just an insane hit rate for an executive. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. You can't even pick out like any busts in here. I really feel like.
Yeah, and there's so many different playmakers on this defense. Kind of reminds you of a bit of a Legion of Boom era. It's not as good as those players yet. There's a lot of potential future Hall of Famers on that defense. You had Earl Thomas, you had Cam Chancellor, you had Bobby Wagner. I mean, those teams were loaded, but a little bit of a Cam Chancellor shout. Bam Bam Cam. It's Hit Stick Nick now. I think that's kind of one of the guys that you can coin on that defense as one of the cornerstones, but there's so many different players on this defense, and there's so many good players on this defense that I don't know how you can really go against this team without having some kind of game plan to go at. You know how you go against the Broncos and it's like throw away from Patrick Surtain? It's like they've got a little bit lesser version of Patrick Surtain at every secondary position. It's weird. And, I mean, I don't know how you game plan for it. I don't know how those 3 teams that played them beat them. I think this is why they beat them. Sam Darnold's early season struggles. And, I mean, we saw it early in the season. We thought, okay, this is Sam Darnold. He's coming back down to earth. But this Sam Darnold is not the same Sam Darnold you are used to. The Seattle offense, it ranks 3rd in the NFL in points scored. And that is mainly down to the duo of Sam Darnold and former Ohio State wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. This guy has been on another planet. You thought that they were going to regress without DK Metcalf? Think again. They got DK Metcalf, but upgraded in Jackson Smith-Njigba. 119 catches on 163 targets this season, 1,793 yards and 10 touchdowns. This guy has been electric in the pass game. And when you have those kind of weapons on your offense, you don't even have to worry about the run game. And I know me and Dom have had a lot of conversations about the Seattle Seahawks run game this year. Zach Charbonnet is out for this game. Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL, I believe. I'm not sure if it was ACL or Achilles. Kenneth Walker has been on another level in this playoff run for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to let Dom talk a little bit about the Seattle Seahawks offense real quick. What do you think of that kind of explosive burst run game that they have in their system? Kind of provides a little bit of a backseat for that wide receiver core.
I mean, the season started out, Connor, with it was mostly JSN ball for a while there before you added that piece of Rashid Shaheed. And I mean, you saw some moments from Jake Bobo, don't get me wrong, and other additional depth. Maybe Cooper Kupp would have a catch every now and then, but he didn't really get utilized that often this season. To my surprise, I thought Cooper Kupp was going to be more of an additional piece to this to the wide receiving core, but it just turns out that he might be getting old and should maybe grow his beard a little bit longer. I don't know. I don't think that's helping him in any case. But the running back room, I mean, we've seen Kenneth Walker without Zach Charbonnet. Like I said last week, it seems like he has the zoomies because Zach Charbonnet, in my opinion, I'm going to say he's garbage because they tried to replicate – I'm sorry, Zach Charbonnet, if you're listening to this, but they tried to replicate the David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs type of system where it's like that tandem where Jahmyr does most of the work. He'll get to the 10-yard line, then all this – I mean – okay, last year, David Montgomery did have some moments where he did carry, and they used him actually in moments, unlike Zach Charbonnet, that wasn't within the red zone or for like crucial moments because he was the bigger back. He was more of that bowling ball type of guy that you just used to ram through a D line, and he was effective at that. But Kenneth Walker will get to the 5-yard line. All of a sudden, he's like, Coach, please, keep me in. He's like, no. I got Charbonnet on fantasy. No, please, I've earned this. No, I'm going to get those 6 points. Put him in. Take him out. But, Coach, please, it's my birthday. And then Zach Charbonnet just goes in there and just gets an easy touchdown. And then everybody loves him. And there was a stat we went over one day in Waiver Tango that there was like a 90% chance that Kubiak was going to take Walker out of the red zone and then put Charbonnet in that formation. And 90% of the time that did happen.
It was the snap shares, like the snap percentages. Kenneth Walker's snap percentage in the red zone went down from, I think, 47% to 13% with the addition of Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. But, I mean, you don't even need the tail of the tape in this one. The stats say it for themselves. Kenneth Walker had 5 rushing touchdowns in the regular season. Zach Charbonnet, 12. Zach Charbonnet had 300 less rushing yards on around the same amount of carries. Only 40 less carries for Zach Charbonnet. He averaged 4 yards a carry, while Kenneth Walker, who is an upcoming free agent and is going to get paid wherever he goes, even if it is Seattle, 4.6 yards per carry. This guy is big play. He is prone to breaking off huge runs. And I think we've seen it in the playoffs so far. He's been able to just rip off chunks of yardage for that Seattle Seahawks offense. And that just offers a different kind of dimension for this kind of spread offense where they get it out to their wide receivers. A.J. Barner is a big part of this offense too. I'll get into when we talk about the matchup who I think the X factor is going to be in this game. It is a tight end, but it's not A.J. Barner. I think there's going to be a lot of kind of run-blocking schemes where they have Kenneth Walker getting out to the outside with Charles Cross and this tight end. But there's a lot of different things to like on this offense. What do you guys think has been the kind of catalyst of this offense, whether it be Darnold's passing or whether it be JSN's route running? Just give me something.
It's JSN. Oh, Don, you want to go?
I would say it's like there's certain segments or certain quarters of the season that you could dedicate to one player. Like, let's say weeks 1, 2, to the point where you get to the Buccaneers game. You lost that game. I feel like that's kind of the area where JSN did the best. And then you kind of facilitated to more of a receiving core, maybe a little bit of Zach Charbonnet action, Kenneth Walker action. Those two kind of took over, and then the last portion has been more of like Sam Darnold, and then you get to the Kenneth Walker days, which is like the playoffs. So like there's like certain areas in the season where you could really just kind of dedicate it to one player kind of carrying the boats per se, in my opinion. But yeah.
Yeah, there are some plays where JSN just feels more open than any receiver ever should be. I think in that game against the Rams a couple weeks ago, there were so many plays where it's just like, why is this guy? How do you lose track of this guy? You have to have a guy in him. You almost have to do a Megatron on him and just double him at all times just to make sure you can even stay out of the game. I think he's easily the X factor on this team. I think he's the best receiver in football right now. He's playing that way this year.
Yeah, I tell you what, and I think a lot of credit for the Seattle Seahawks offense in unlocking Sam Darnold's confidence is a new Las Vegas Raiders head coach Clint Kubiak. I think really when Sam Darnold got into Seattle, knowing obviously, DK Metcalf gone, you have JSN, you even traded for a talent, Rashid Shaheed, which is that vertical deep threat wide receiver having that, and especially what he's done in the return game, if we want to talk about special teams, it's been really important for the Seattle Seahawks offense. I mean, yeah, when you're trying to have that split backfield with Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet getting you those yards, then you just want to throw a deep ball to JSN, or even just have something that could be just something as weird as Cooper Kupp, 10, 15 yards will give you that automatic first down. You'll take it. But I tell you what, this Seattle Seahawks team is really good at least for me in my professional opinion, I'd say just keeping their players healthy. I mean, you look at their receivers, JSN 17 games, Cooper Kupp 16 games played. He's been up there in age. A.J. Barner's having 17. Obviously, K-Walk 17. I mean, Rashid Shaheed only had 9 for this team specifically because he got traded at the deadline. But you're talking about that player health. When Sam Darnold, you have those weapons available and open, and especially with JSN's route running, which I think is one of his key attributes that sometimes a lot of people when he first got in the league didn't talk about as much. I tell you what, this Sam Darnold confident. I mean, he's just showing what he did in Minnesota, having over 4,000 yards passing. I mean, you're kind of splitting the ball around even beside having JSN, Cooper Kupp, A.J. Barner having around 500 receiving yards. But I tell you what, even using K-Walk in the back or out of the backfield too and using him in the receiving game, it's been really important for the Seattle offense.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things that have propelled this Seattle offense to new heights. And I mean, having the highest point differential in the NFL is nothing short of amazing for this Seattle team, who everybody didn't really see them going super far, even if they did get to the playoffs. I know a lot of people weren't super high on Sam Darnold coming into this year, but those haters can shut up now because Sam Darnold is in the Super Bowl. We'll talk more about him later. Let's get over to the AFC side, where you're probably going to hear a lot shorter of a response from John. The New England Patriots are the AFC team in the Super Bowl right now. Mid-season, they went on a 10-game winning streak. Now, obviously, some of these teams weren't the best. Actually, all of these teams weren't really the best. Their probably marquee win would be Buffalo in Week 5, 23-20. But you thought at the start of the season, same old Pats, same old Pats. The rebuilding Pats were 1-2 after Week 3 after losses to the Las Vegas Raiders, a close win against the Miami Dolphins, and a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm sure Dom loves hearing that they beat the eventual Super Bowl contenders in their conference. But after that, Drake May locked in, got those Bake Miss cookies, and said, all right, let's win some football games. And they went from 1-2 to 11-2, just like that. Now, their last loss came at the hands of the Buffalo Bills in Week 15, Sunday, December 14th, 35-31, where Drake May only threw for 155 yards. It's not very like him because Drake May is an MVP candidate this year, and that's something I was not prepared to say at the start of the year. I thought there was going to be a lot of different guys in this race, but Drake May, second-year quarterback out of North Carolina, is an MVP candidate and has the potential to win it, but I think it's pretty much Matthew Stafford's at this point. If you've been looking at the odds, obviously we don't condone gambling here at U92, but Matthew Stafford has shot up in the race for the MVP in odds. But what do you guys think was some of the keys to this New England season and what they've been able to do since coming off a really, really bad year last year with Mike Vrabel coming in at the helm?
Well, I mean, I think the easy answer would be to say they were graced with a not that tough of a schedule. So it's pretty easy to stack up wins from that. Not only that, but you had a pretty easy playoff run too. Well, coincidentally, you faced the Chargers that kind of had an injured, banged-up O-line, so you were easily able to get to Justin Herbert and destroy his game. Well, even though the if man couldn't win that game, yeah, I knew that. Everybody knew that was coming. C.J. Stroud can't help himself, throws a bunch of turnovers, basically tries to hand opponents the game. They play the Texans, and then coincidentally, Bo Nix gives up his, not his life, but the rest of this season to beat the Bills and gets injured, gets out of the game. Now you're playing against Jarrett Stidham, who almost beat them, which is kind of concerning. But, I mean, not to discredit them, but they haven't really had an opponent other than, like you mentioned, Connor, the Buffalo Bills, to where you can really say, wow, they played against a good, competent team. And yes, you could make the argument that somebody would say, oh, but they played the Carolina Panthers, who gave the Rams trouble. Well, that was the Carolina Panthers before they figured out their identity later in the season, as they do for some reason every year whenever people talk trash about Bryce Young and say that he should be benched, all of a sudden he plays like God. I don't know how he does it, but he just does it every time. I mean, he played the Miami Dolphins, who were having locker room trouble with what's his name, Mike McDaniel. They had a team a player meeting, so you knew something was going down there. You played them twice a year, so that was 2 free wins for them. You play the Jets twice a year, that's another 2 free wins. You ever wondered why Tom Brady made the playoffs and made the Super Bowl so many times? Because he played in a god-awful division that gave him quite a few easy wins. That's why, every year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to talk about, and I think that's the main narrative that you covered there, was that they had a bit of a cupcake schedule with their schedule. I think they ranked in the 30s in strength of schedule this year.
I think it can't be any easier than that. I mean, you played.
I mean,
you play that mattered. Like the Bills, basically it.
The two teams that they played that really mattered in the regular season were the Bills twice.
And this actually,
and
I
they
was able to respect the Steelers.
They played the post injury.
Guys, we all have to take a breath here. I mean, there are some 5-year-old kids in New England. Obviously, the Patriots make a Super Bowl. It's very sad. 5-year-old kids waiting all their life for this. I mean, in their diapers in elementary school. It's just wow, so sad for them. But I'm gonna praise the Patriots here. I think that's rare for me because I hate this team. I'm so ungodly upset that they're back in the Super Bowl again after being bad for 2 years. I mean, who even cares? But they did have a really good free agent class. I'll give them credit for that. All the guys they brought in free agency have made an impact. Carlton Davis had a big pick in that Denver game. Milton Williams has been kind of essential to this defensive line when he's healthy. And Morgan Moses is a very solid tackle. Robert Spillane's a great run-defending linebacker. They really had a great... many people were crowning them the offseason champions. I think this is one of the rare times you can say the offseason champs really kind of made it into being just turn that into being a really good team in the regular season. I mean, you have to give a lot of credit to Mike Vrabel there. He is just such a good head coach in the sense that everybody kind of knew this was the perfect fit for him. I think he really just coaches his team to win games. I mean, sometimes it doesn't really entail that much. Like in Denver, he didn't push the envelope down the game. He just ran the ball, did what needed to be done to win. I think he's done a good job of that. But, I mean, RJ, what are your thoughts on this fraudulent team?
Fraudulent, I would say, is a little bit much of a stretch. I could say, to that claim, you got to play who you play on your schedule. I mean, New England got a benefit. They were not good last year, but they had 4 wins. You're going to play those bottom feeders in the other divisions. And right now, when you do a 180 and culture flip from a difference between Gerard Mayo and firing that whole head coaching staff for the most part, keeping Josh McDaniels, and then getting Mike Vrabel just out of nowhere because, I mean, he was just casually available, I think was just perfect for New England because, look, Robert Kraft spending that money, he wanted a winner, and guess what? That free agency class headlined, like you said, Milton Williams was a key factor of that, but it's culture at the same time. What Mike Vrabel brings to a team is accountability and an identity. I think 2 things that New England did not have last year. Drake May obviously was going through those struggles, and then now when having Vrabel getting some time to develop, look at what he's doing now. He's an MVP candidate. He might arguably win it. It depends. Probably either him or Stafford, but I tell you what. For this, what makes it more impressive, at least on Drake's side, I mean, you have Stephon Diggs, Mac Hollins, and Kayshon Boutte as your top 3 receivers, and kind of how he's elevated them so far. I mean, Stephon had a 1,000-yard season. Mac Hollins had over 500 yards. Kayshon Boutte had over 500 yards as well. I think really just goes to show how much this, especially in their running game and that kind of split-ish backfield, Ramondre and Travion Henderson has just really showed that this New England offense, especially both in the pass game and in the run game, can bruise you. And I think that's why for this game, it can be a pretty fun fight because this New England offense can come to play.
Yeah, and I mean, something to note is the fact that the New England Patriots can score 10 points and win a football game. The New England Patriots can score 16 points and win a football game. And that is something that not a lot of teams in the NFL can do. That's why they're in the Super Bowl. They've been able to do that, and their defense has been able to hold strong in the crucial moments of their season. Now, this playoff run is something that we need to talk about. They were able to put up 28 points on the Houston Texans defense, which I believe was one of the best defensive units in the NFL.
Because they got the ball at the 10-yard line every time.
They did basically get the ball in the red zone every time. They're
playing college overtime.
Pretty much. But I think that Denver game was the NFC Championship was a spectacle of lights like we saw. We watched that game. It was so much fun. The AFC Championship was a dumpster fire. That was awful. And I mean, I know a lot of people talk about the fact that we need domes in all the stadiums. That takes away some of the feel of football, but I don't know. Those snow games are terrible.
Hey, if Russia had a dome, we'll be speaking German right now. Just saying.
What year?
That's a good point.
Quick question. What year was it when Mac Jones took the Patriots to the playoffs? Was that 21?
2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
They got shellacked by the Bills that year.
They did. That was the year before.
Also a great snow game that year. That was the game where they just didn't throw the ball at all. Remember?
Yeah. Was that the year we went to the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did they have an easy schedule that year when they made the playoffs?
Buddy, they play the Jets twice a year. It's always an easy schedule.
And the Dolphins.
Okay.
That was the good Dolphins though. That was the Tua.
That was the year where that was Tua's not rookie year, his second year.
Yeah, that was the post tank for Tua
He was
Dolphins.
kind of respect. He was probably hurt.
Was that the year they went to the playoffs and then lost in the snow to the Chiefs?
I think that was the year they had Skylar Thompson starting a playoff game.
I thought that was
they played the Bills.
They
played the Bills. 23 was when they played the Chiefs.
And then we played the Chiefs in the championship and came back down for 21-3.
Yeah, that makes sense. This year's just, I don't know. I'm not saying, just because of that Mac Jones year and how everybody thought he was the next, Tom Brady. you have one good season and everybody thinks they're the best product.
I don't know. I think Drake May really does have the it factor.
Okay, yes, Drake May does have the it factor, but is his supporting cast really that good?
I think that's probably the biggest issue. Svon Diggs has kind of been absent these past couple games, but we really haven't seen the MVP version of Drake. I think it should be MVP personally. The version of him the MVP version of him in recent weeks, because he's played some great defenses and he played his crappy snow mess of a game, and so we haven't really seen the version we saw of him late in the year where he was just dicing up defenses with that amazing deep ball he has. So I think you're just waiting on. I think you really hope if that can kind of emerge in this game. It's going to have to, but I have a hard time seeing that kind of version of him come back against this talented Seattle defense we just talked about earlier.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, though, Drake May has that it factor. I'll tell you who doesn't have the it factor: Fanatics. If you've been keeping up in the news, you know, because good God, their quality is garbage.
Yeah.
Their quantity,
even worse.
Hey.
Oh
Gosh. Putting out a whole, 4 or 5 paragraph essay basically saying, we know we suck. We weren't prepared for these two teams to make it to the Super Bowl.
Which is kind of
No, they didn't follow the script for once. No.
It's not the Chiefs. What?
No. Yeah, but I think this Pats defense there's a lot to like, and there's a lot to not like about this Pats defense. There's a lot of times where Christian Gonzalez looks like one of the best corners, if not the best corner in the NFL. And then you get to the playoffs, and Christian Gonzalez looks like Tariq Woolen. And that is not good.
Marvin Mims embarrassed him.
Marvin Mims skinned him alive. That was bad. And I mean, all credit to Marvin Mims. He's a good wide receiver. But if you're going up against All-Pro Christian Gonzalez, former All-Pro Christian Gonzalez, come on. You have to make that play. And he just got absolutely burnt off the line by Marvin Mims. But if you can get burnt by a wide receiver like Marvin Mims, what is he going to do against JSN? Cooper Kupp. What's he going to do? Jake Bobo.
Yeah, Jake Bobo did catch a touchdown in the playoffs. He is legit. He could be a contributor in the Super Bowl.
You know what's crazy, though?
Might be my personal Super Bowl MVP.
Jake Bobo has more playoff career touchdowns than TJ Watt has career playoff sacks.
Well, yeah, that's about. He probably has more career playoff wins than TJ Watt. He actually
probably, yeah.
Because I don't think TJ Watt actually has a single.
I don't think he has a playoff one, yeah.
Which means Nick Chubb has more wins than him, and then RJ will go, another hypothetical win for Cleveland.
You mean Houston Texan Nick Chubb?
Yeah, Cleveland Brown.
He's supposedly not going back to Houston. Hey, homecoming.
He just got a playoff win this year, Nick Chubb.
Yeah, he's 2 in total.
Yeah,
hey,
it's terrible.
That's more than one.
You know who's good on the Patriots right now?
Who?
48 solo tackles, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 2 interceptions. Robert Spillane, former Pittsburgh Steeler.
Huh.
I'll tell you somebody who's even better. Jalen Hawkins.
Questionable for the game.
He's been pretty good, too. Shout out Jalen Hawkins. Tell you what, 4 interceptions this past year. 6 pass deflections. He's been really good.
I don't see how this pass defense is stopping the Seahawks, man. I just can't see them slowing down JSN, as you mentioned, Connor, and with the way Sam Darnold is playing right now. I think the ground game is going to be a big part of this game, too. It's just Spillane is their main run defender, so if they do want to win this game, he has to play a big role, Dom. I agree.
This is another, the New England Patriots have a similar running room to the Seattle Seahawks, in which I get frustrated because they play the running back that they're not supposed to be playing whenever there's another guy that's clearly way better than the running back that's starting.
Yep.
Yeah, Travion Henderson is way better than Ramondre Stevenson, or as some may know him last year, Connor specifically as Fumble Master Stevenson.
Yeah, Butterfingers. This is going to sound really weird. Do you want to know that Travion Henderson had a much higher snap share than Ramondre Stevenson this year?
That's actually nuts.
That sounds so weird because it feels like he got no touches.
Yeah, I don't...
It's because they spammed him at the end of the year.
That 1 3-touchdown Jets game was the only game where I actually saw Travion Henderson cook. And other than that, I'm like, oh, where's Travion at? Oh, where's Travion at? Because every time I look at the screen, I just see Ramondre Stevenson doing something.
Hey, he only had 2 fumbles this year. I think he had 5 last year. But hey, there's always room for improvement on these rosters. That's a crazy tweet.
Dak Prescott.
But Ramondre Stevenson, everybody's favorite running back, 603 rushing yards on the year. I feel like this Pats running room has just kind of left a little bit to be desired this year.
I mean, they've ran the ball when they've needed to run the ball. I'll say that, especially in that Houston game against a very talented defense. when that was a pretty close game to the end, as much as people don't think about it. And they really just had that great drive at the end of the game. They were just running the ball constantly down their throats, just getting first downs when they needed to. So they ran the ball well when they need to. But I think, they kind of lack that big play component you kind of think that Travion could bring if he was used more. I mean, against the Jets, he just cooked them. I mean, everybody cooks the Jets, but he truly does have that kind of Jahmyr Gibbsian, just like he can break one for 100 if he gets the ball. But as you mentioned, Connor, he hasn't really been used that much.
Yeah, it's weird. They have Drake May had 450 rushing yards on the year. I feel like that's kind of important to note. I feel like his wheels are something that's really
his
underrated.
Runs clinched the game against Denver, if you remember. His legs were the reason they won that game at the end.
His legs are a really underrated and underappreciated part of his game. I feel like he's really good at moving around the pocket, but I feel like once he gets out of the pocket is when he gets more dangerous. That's you want to know who I said that about? Drew Aller, which is really funny. Because Drake May is really good at doing that, and I thought Drew Aller was really good at doing that too. But we all know what happened there. But there's a lot of different things to like about this Pats offense. This defense, there's a lot to like too. But I feel like there's something missing from this team. I can't really pinpoint it. Actually, I can. Will Campbell cannot play in the playoffs. I mean, I know he's very young, but he has looked very lackluster in the playoffs so far. There's been a lot of pressures on Drake May, and most of them have come from that left side where he stands. But I feel like I've seen a lot. I'm on a lot of this is really funny. I'm on a lot of Pats forums. Like I talk to a lot of people, and I interact with people on social media who are Pats fans. And the more that they talk about Will Campbell, the more I see what they're talking about.
Why, they hating on him? Or?
He's not that good under pressure, which is really weird because Will Campbell was one of the most highly coveted tackle prospects in a while.
That's kind of ironic because, in his college days, isn't he the one who said, oh, yeah, if you basically let up, 1 or 2 sacks, they're not going to look at you anymore.
You're an Amazon driver, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of what's going to be their downfall for the rest. Not the rest of the season. There's one more game. But I think that is kind of the glaring flaw of this Pats team. Drake May's been sacked 47 times this year. That seems like a lot. I feel like he got sacked a lot less than that. But something interesting to note is the fact that I know I mentioned that the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold only got sacked 27 times, by the way. Drake May got sacked 20 more times than Sam Darnold. I think that's an interesting stat to talk about. But let's get into some talk about this matchup. Now, both of these teams are very good. They both have very high-powered offenses, and they both have very good defenses in their own right. So there's a lot of things to talk about on that side. But what do you think is going to be the X factor for this game? Who is going to make an impact? What is going to make an impact? Or what do you think is going to be the driving force that gets one of these offenses over the hump?
Well, I think we addressed it well, but I feel like Kenneth Walker is going to be that it factor for the Seahawks. I feel like if he gets going early like he did in that Rams game where he was getting about between 6 and 8 yards a carry, I mean, he just opened up for the Seahawks, and it really helps to establish the passing game because then you got to look out for Kenneth Walker. Oh, no, Zach Charbonnet could be in there. Oh, wait, he's injured. Nobody even cares. He didn't even do anything anyways. But Kenneth Walker's just, I don't know. I feel like he's the driving force of that offense that helps open up the pass game, that makes Sam Darnold get a little bit more comfortable, take some pressure off of him. And he is sometimes he has those bad games where he is pick prone. So it is not saying he's going to play bad in the Super Bowl, of course, but that will help open up the passing game, which will basically beat, the Patriots to death, as everybody's claiming will happen.
Yeah, I think for me, the X factor of this game is just turnovers, really. I mean, the Patriots have really won their past 3 playoff games, really, just off the back of turnovers. Obviously, C.J. Stroud just kept giving them the ball like it was going out of style in that divisional game, and then in the championship game, they got a big defensive score off a Jarrett Stidham fumble or backwards pass, kind of a weird broken play that went towards a Pats score that kind of put them back in the game. But I think the Seattle, we all kind of agree Seattle's a better team here. I think if the Patriots can protect the ball, which they mean don't get picks of their own, don't get the ball back to Seattle, which is going to be tough against this chaotic Seattle defense. And if they can maybe get Sam Darnold and make a few of those seeing ghost mistakes you've seen from him in the past couple of years, and take over on some short field to put points up that way, I think that can definitely help them out a lot. That's really the only way I see the Patriots winning this game is if they can get short fields like they did in Houston and then not give Seattle those short fields back.
Yeah, I tell you what, this goes for both teams. I think it's the rushing attack. Which team can allow that rushing attack to open up the offensive passing ease? We know both Sam Darnold and Drake May can sling the ball. It's just a matter of you can't overly rely on the pass for either of these teams. But obviously we talked about Drake May's mobility, and I think it could be a big factor for New England in that rushing attack. But, I mean, Sam Darnold can run a little bit too, but I wouldn't rely on it. But I tell you what, though, Kenneth Walker versus either Ramondre and Travion, whichever one tends to get the load or the carries, probably going to assume it's Ramondre. But those Travion, surprise runs could help New England in a big way. But I think if Seattle and K-Walk dominate too much in the running game, and then JSN gets open, it could be a wrap before the third quarter even ends.
Yeah, I think something to note for this is the fact that the Pats have been able to get edge pressure so far this year, but it hasn't necessarily worked so much in the playoffs. The only time that you really saw it work was in that Denver game. But I think that their edge rushers are going to get stifled by Seattle's outside run attack. I think they're going to run a lot of zone runs. I think it's going to be a lot of Kenneth Walker. You're going to see a lot of him bounced it out to the outside. And I think it's going to be down to two people to win this game for Seattle. I think it's going to be down to Charles Cross on the right side of the line and Elijah Arroyo. I think he's going to play a massive part. I think they're going to run a couple play-action plays where he gets a little bit of a deep route. I think he's going to be a good run-blocking tight end for this team. He's a big dude. He's 6'5", but he plays like he's about 6'8". And, I mean, that right side of the line and that outside of the left side of the line is really going to get a lot of work because when that pass attack isn't working so well, which it has been all season, I think they're going to get a little bit of a shove in the back from that Pats defense. Their pass defense has been pretty good so far this playoff run for them. I think they're going to rely on Kenneth Walker a lot. They're going to rely on those outside runs just to get some space. You're going to see a lot of chunk plays for this Seattle team like they've been doing all season. Now, let's get into some predictions for this game. Something to note before we predict. The Seattle Seahawks had the highest point differential in the NFL with 191. Now, the stat is 3 out of the last 10 Super Bowl winners led the league in point differential. So it's not necessarily a factor that that team is set to win the Super Bowl, but 3 out of the last 10 Super Bowls have won with point differential leading the league in the regular season. Now, something alarming for Seattle's offense is that they ranked 31st in giveaways this season with 28, while the Pats went down to 16. But the Seattle Seahawks defense has forced 25 turnovers, which ranks 6th in the NFL, and the Pats rank 18th in the NFL in turnovers forced. So, take those in mind for your predictions. Who do you guys think is going to win this game? Give me a little backstory on why you think.
I think, well, the obvious and easy choice and the correct choice would be the Seattle Seahawks. I just don't think the Patriots have enough to be able to take care of Seattle. Seattle's has a lot of volume on offense. Kenneth Walker's good. Again, Zach Charbonnet, that didn't matter. You have Cooper Kupp, JSN, he was the number one fantasy football receiver for the longest time, for multiple weeks. He put up 30-point games. I wish Kenneth Walker probably could have done the same, honestly, if it wasn't for somebody else. But this team, there's been times where they've absolutely just put pedal to the metal and have destroyed other teams. And the only team that's really stood a chance against them was, honestly, the Rams, which we saw what happened there. But I feel like how Seattle's going to win is they're going to get up early, or the Patriots are going to make a mistake. And if you're the Patriots, you have to consistently score with this team. You have to almost execute on every drive. And I'm not saying like a touchdown every drive. I'm saying like, something like a field goal, or it's very hard to stop the offense of Seattle once it gets going. Once they have that momentum, they're just going to continuously drive down the field, score on you, and that could very well be the game. But if the defense can't capitalize on those turnovers with Sam Darnold, the Patriots could see their way. I'm not going to say this is going to be close, but they could keep it respectable. I'm not going to say this one's close. I'm not even going to say it's a one-score game. I'm going to say it's like a 10-point lead to be generous, but I feel like it's going to be a little bit more than that. I just don't feel like the Patriots – I don't think they deserve to be here reasonably. As stated, they had a cupcake schedule. The playoffs, they didn't really have anybody that was like okay, let's test your mettle team, because all the teams that they played were kind of had their own little weakness with that the Patriots exploited clearly, and now they're here. But it's I don't know. I feel like if they played a healthy Denver, they would have lost that game realistically. If they would have played 50-50, if they would have played Buffalo in the playoffs, if that's my opinion. But I feel like the Seahawks have this one.
Yeah, I'm going to say it takes Seattle too as well. I think that's a more complete team than the Patriots. I mean, I can't really see a flaw on this roster right now with how everybody's playing. I think if Drake May was coming into this game playing his best football, playing level we saw him play down the stretch of last year, where it was just he looked like the MVP of the league and was just throwing these amazing deep balls everywhere and just kind of being a phenomenal quarterback, it'd be a bit different. But he's looked very shaky these past couple of weeks against his tough defense, and I think Seattle might be his toughest test yet. I think Sam Darnold has really shown that he can win playoff games. He's not going to be this turnover guy who crumbles under big moments, as we saw a couple of years past. I just don't see a world where the Patriots can win this game if Seattle brings their A game. Now, that might not happen. I mean, Sam Darnold could still make some bad throws and give the Patriots some extra life, and Drake May can turn the Jets on and just be a superhero, but I have a hard time seeing that happen, so I'm going to take Seattle.
Yeah, I tell you what, with this game, it's to me, which team will come out and make that statement in the first quarter? And I think for me so far that'd be Seattle, but that doesn't mean I'm counting out New England for most of the game. I think between the first three quarters, this game will be very close. I'm talking like one possession, maybe 17-10 style of game. But that fourth quarter and that explosion from the Seattle offense and the defense, maybe getting a turnover and a takeaway, would be my big reason why I'm going to go Seattle with probably that 10-point win. I know we're not going score predictions, but still, I'm going to go with Seattle. For me, it's just really how they are individually as a team, and if you're looking at offense and defense, which team would I rather trust in this biggest game of most of these kids' careers? I would obviously go with the Seattle Seahawks due to the fact that Sam Darnold's confidence has been at an all-time high. Clint Kubiak's a big credit to that, like I mentioned earlier, but also that Seattle defense. I'm telling you what, they can get pressure to the quarterback. I think it's going to be big, especially since we talked about earlier, too. Will Campbell struggle? If that shows up in the Super Bowl, and that's pretty hard to fix on the fly like that, and I think Seattle's going to try and take advantage of that. I think Seattle gets a 10-point win and a Lombardi back to the city of Seattle.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try and save the graphic on this one. The Seahawks are favored 59.6% to New England's 40.4%. They are opening, I believe, as a 3.5-point favorite. I'm going to go with the sports book on this one. I think the Seattle Seahawks are a wagon. I think this offense is just unstoppable. It's so good right now. Well-oiled machine. Clint Kubiak going out on it. He's flying off into the sunset, as he did accept the Raiders head coaching job, which he will be going to after the Super Bowl. That's going to be a fun one to watch in Las Vegas. I think they're going to be very fun. A very high-powered offense with probably Fernando Mendoza going into that offensive system with Clint Kubiak, who has, I wouldn't say he revived Sam Darnold's career. I would say that Sam Darnold's career got revived by Kevin O'Connell, but after that, Clint Kubiak took the reins and was like, all right, let's take this a step further. Let's get you to a Super Bowl. And they did that, and I think they're going to capitalize on this one. I just don't think that the New England Patriots have what it takes yet to take down such a high-powered team on both sides of the ball like the Seattle Seahawks. So well coached, so good of a scheme that they have for both sides of the ball in Seattle. I think it's their Super Bowl to lose this year. But let's go into the last part of this. Who do you guys think is going to be the Super Bowl MVP?
Super Bowl MVP? Ooh. Since I went with Seattle winning, I mean, I could honestly see it being three people. Either they're going to be quarterback friendly. It's going to be Sam Darnold. It's going to be JSN, or of course, it's going to be Kenneth Walker. I feel like those are the three obvious choices. I did want to say immaturely Jake Bobo if he catches the game-winning touchdown. That, let's be honest, that will not happen. But I'm going to go with JSN. I feel like he's going to be – I did say that Kenneth Walker was going to be the biggest impact of this game, but of course you have those explosion games, but those explosive plays by JSN. I feel like he's going to be the one to put the nail in the coffin here.
I mean, it's obviously Gray Zabel's award to lose. I mean, let's be honest here.
He's so good.
And the issue,
He's
he actually
so
was
good.
really good, which is quite funny. I'm going with Rashid Shaheed. He's taking a kickoff back. Some Desmond Howard type energy right here.
Yeah, I'll give one for each team. For Seattle, I'm going to go fun. Nick Emenwari, key turnover, gets him the Super Bowl MVP. But for the Patriots, you know what? If that rushing attack works, Ramondre Stevenson. Let's have some fun.
No. So I'll go one for both as well. Obviously, I didn't pick the Patriots, but if the Patriots do end up winning, it's got to be Drake Mays to lose. They're going to push the narrative. It's going to happen. But if the Seattle Seahawks win, like I predicted, I'm going to go a similar route to RJ's. If you guys remember the Legion of Boom, the last time they won the Super Bowl, do you guys know the name of the man who won the Super Bowl MVP?
It's some linebacker.
It was Malcolm Smith. It was one of their random linebackers that won it with that swarm of talent on the defense. You had Richard Sherman on that team. That team was so good. I think it is going to be a defensive player. I don't think it's going to be Emenwari. I think it's going to be Devin Witherspoon. I think Devin Witherspoon's going to come out with this award. If not, if they give it to the offensive side of the ball, like I said, they're going to run the ball a lot. It's going to be Kenneth Walker, and I'm going to be the happiest person on earth. Drew Lock's going to win a Super Bowl.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to trot out Zach Charbonnet with his cast or whatever injury he has on whenever Kenneth Walker gets to the goal line, and then trot him in for a touchdown, game winner. Zach Charbonnet gets Super Bowl MVP.
You mean George Holani, right?
Sure.
Yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us for our Super Bowl special. We hope you guys enjoyed. We will be back next week for more probably college and NFL talk at this point. It's getting into the fun part of the season where we have to come up with episode ideas. But we will see you guys next week on Stirring the Pot. Peace out.